Have you ever argued with your little brother? How about some random guy you're stuck in a room with for an hour? Flannel Sam and Spencer Raxter are at each other's throats. One Spartan alumni and one Walmart Wolverines are locked in a room with nowhere to hide. You're welcome. Whether it's go blue or go green, you can go to woodwardsports.com for all the action. Coming soon to a device near you.
I am Walmart Wolverine Flannel Sam. I resent that, by the way. And this right here is Michigan State alum Spencer Raxter. This show is a long time coming. Me and Spenny came up in Big D Energy. We've had some battles on air before, and now we have a show to hash it out every morning from Thursday to 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. I got my Michigan helmet right there. You got your Spartan helmet, and Paul Bunyan is exactly where he belongs right now. After 2022's decisive win.
Yeah, it took you, 3 tries against Mel to get it? Good job. Finally got it.
Did you enjoy bowl season? Oh, that's right. You guys were all on your couch.
How did you enjoy TCU? That must have been a lot of fun, huh? That was a cakewalk. We're right to Georgia, right? No, we don't got to worry about TCU. Oh, wait. JJ threw 2 pick sixes, 2 empty trips in the red zone. All right, we got a long show.
You know, mistakes were made. I think both schools, on some degree, may have fell short of expectations, but still, nope. You know what? We'll get into it later. First, before we get started with anything, let's do a little bit of an origin story. Okay. When did you first realize that you just could not stand Michigan?
Well, unlike you, my origin started when I went to the school. You know, I went to the school. I graduated from the school with a degree in journalism and sports broadcasting. And, you know, the things that piss me off the most about Michigan fans, it's not all of them. There are, you know, good apples on a dead tree. But the things that piss me off the most about Michigan fans are how pretentious they are. Just lording over all of us. Even though this is the first time you beat Michigan State in 3 years. I believe the record is not too favorable over the last 10 years. But when I hear, I'd say about 70, it's a big fan base. So I'd say about 60% of the fan base of Michigan didn't go to Michigan. And when I hear them talking, oh, you're a Sparty, you're just a dumb Sparty. Oh yeah, how was Macomb Community College? Huh? That was a real game. How was Appalachian State? Oh, you must have loved that. Yeah. Oh yeah. How was Grand Valley? Probably had a great time there. So next time you talk shit, come correct. That's what pisses me off the most out of Michigan fans is the Walmart Wolverines that just lord over them because I'm a Michigan fan, even though you couldn't even get into the school.
No, and you know what? I understand that to some degree. I wouldn't consider myself a fan that knocks Michigan State in their educational program or anything because I have no room to talk because I went to a directional school in Illinois. So to be fair, I don't think I qualify on that.
That's fair.
For me, the pretentiousness when it comes to Michigan is I firmly believe, and it hasn't always been that way, especially since Mark D'Antonio got there, I believe it is Michigan's birthright to just smack around Michigan State in football every single year, which kind of goes to my origin of my Michigan State hate. When I first started being a Michigan fan in the early 2000s, when Braylon Edwards was the best player, Michigan State was not an issue. Yeah. It was the end of Bobby Williams, it was the beginning of John L. Smith. Michigan would do what they were supposed to do. Smack them around every single year. But in came Mark D'Antonio, and once Mark D'Antonio got there, it all changed. And I was just like, what the hell? And then at that point, I pretty much hated Michigan State even more than Ohio State. Actually, and it was really bad. From 2008 to 2015, Michigan State beat Michigan 7 out of 8 times. And it happened to coincide with one of the worst eras of Michigan football ever. Rich Rod, Brady Hoke, the beginning of Jim Harbaugh, in which 3 of those seasons, Michigan didn't even make a bowl game. So ever since then, I have just been so happy every single time Michigan beats them down. Like in 2016, 2018, and 2019, I was irrationally happy. Yeah. I was more, and last year I was almost as happy when Michigan beat Michigan State than even when they went into Columbus. I was about equally as happy. So as of right now, Michigan State to me is probably my number one rival personally.
At least you admit that.
Okay.
At least you admit that, because that's another thing I hate about Michigan fans. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's not even a rivalry. You notice you only say that when you're getting your ass whooped. But now that you win one of the games, all of those fans are like, oh, yeah, see, we beat up little bro. They're our rival, and we beat them up. Oh, yeah. Oh, but it didn't matter when we were winning. And King Neptune in the Woodward Sports chat, oh, geez, another Target MSU fan, another mobile gas station MSU fan. No, that doesn't happen. That's not a thing. You're making these up. Walmart Wolverine is a real thing for a reason. I went and graduated from MSU. That's why I'm an MSU fan. So I'm getting over that. But yeah, the whole it's not a rivalry. They're not our rivals. When we were winning, that pissed me off. Because I want to beat the shit out of Michigan every single day, every single game, every single year. It's not the only goal, but it is a big goal.
Sure, and I think a lot of Michigan fans, we needed a guy like Mark D'Antonio to sort of flip the rivalry, for a lot of Michigan fans to wake up and be like, Michigan State is real. Michigan State is a program, and now I think that Michigan will start to turn the tide in the rivalry, at least in head-to-head matchups. Mm-hmm. And now that when we talk about stuff that we hate about each other's fan base, you talk about how, us Michigan fans are pretentious. We have a lot of Walmart Wolverines. I feel like a lot of State fans have this redheaded stepchild complex, like, oh my God, nobody respects Michigan State. Every single time they do anything, it's a miracle. And every single time Michigan doesn't win the national championship, it is a massive failure. Like that Kenneth Walker season, I get it. They were 11-2. Mm-hmm. They had a hell of a year, but it was treated like, oh my God, Mel Tucker, come and give him $95 million. Miracle of a season.
Was that not a great season?
It was a good season.
What he was brought into, what a broken down franchise that Mark D'Antonio left into. Leaving early, he had 2 months to recruit his final season. He had a complete terrible roster, brought in, made that happen. And yeah, a lion's share of that goes to Kenneth Walker.
Yes.
When you get a generational type running back to come in, it's definitely going to help. But him bringing him over and him making it happen, no Michigan State fan had the expectations of 11-2 that season. Nobody.
Sure.
And he comes in, he gets Kenneth Walker, and they make a run. Last year, complete disappointment, utter failure. No question there, nothing to be said other than that. This year, we're going to see something different. I expect a bowl game at the very least.
I'm back, bitches!
I mean, you guys better, because last year, I don't even think it's even talked about how much of a failure it was. And I know we'll get into expectations later, but that Indiana game was just embarrassing.
Yeah, all right? It sucked, Sam. Is that what you want me to hear?
Yeah.
It sucked. I hated it. I cried. It's okay. It was terrible, all right? And yeah, it was terrible. I can't say anything. We did. The bottom line.
We did.
Ermanni and Edwards, the day after
you
guys lost to TCU. Did I bust your balls at all that show?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but you were fairly respectful.
Yeah, because what am I going to say?
Sure.
What am I going to say? We had a terrible season. You guys got to the Final Four.
Yeah.
I can't say anything. If you make it to the college football playoff and lose, I can't be like, you guys lost in the college football playoff when we didn't even make the Quick Lane Tito's Salsa Bowl. Like
the Quick Lane Tito's Salsa Bowl. Is that a thing? It might as well be, because everyone's got a bowl. Duke's Mayo has a bowl. Hey, look at this. We got the Booner Sports Show in the chat.
Shut up, Booner.
Hey, Booner is my guy. He's your guy too. You know it. 60% of every fan base didn't go to that school. I mean, when it comes to schools like Michigan, who actually have a national reach, then probably they didn't. Michigan State, I know when it comes to their national reach, it probably applies more to basketball because they do have a great basketball program. But football, I am not so sure about that. But anyway, we're gonna get to break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about expectations for this season for our respective schools. This is Woodward Rivals. We will be right back.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel. Winners winners, losers, pushes and draws, over-unders, prop bets, futures and spreads. Are you sick and tired of your picks being losers? Do you want to learn how to bet like a champion? Well, Woodward Sports searched the globe for the most dangerous man with a bet slip in his hand and gave him a show. Coming soon to Woodward Sports. Tune in every weekend as we introduce the greatest gambler to ever walk the earth.
Hi, I'm Booner, and I don't lose.
Welcome back to Woodward Rivals. I am Walmart Wolverine Flannel Sam, and we got Michigan State graduate and alum Spencer Raxter. We kind of alluded to it in the first segment, but I want to talk about expectations for, let's start with Michigan State. Because Michigan State Saints, any way you want to slice it, last season was an unmitigated disaster. An abysmal failure. So for this season, what are your expectations for Michigan State football going into 2023?
My expectations are higher than most. I think this team is going to be better than most, but what most people say in the national media of having it 5.5, I'm smashing the over on that. My bottom is 7. I think they can get they will be at 8 and can possibly get to 9 wins on the season. I think this team has a lot to play for. Obviously, the coaching staff has a lot they need to do right. At the end of last year, I was ready to fire Jay Johnson out of the league. Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator for Michigan State. How do you have the weapons he had last year in Keon Coleman, in Jaden Reed, in Trey Mosley, a competent-ish quarterback in Peyton Thorne that had a couple nice tight ends, and you don't throw the ball ever? You don't throw the ball. You don't throw the ball to Keon Coleman 20 times a game. You know he's just going to be a first-round pick in the NFL draft, and now he's at Florida State. Thanks a lot. Oh man, that shit hurts still, but I expect, like I said, 8 wins is where I have them at. You look at some of the returning guys they have a lot of veteran leadership on this team. They've got guys that transferred over, like Alante Brown, a senior wide receiver from Nebraska. He should make something happen. Trey Mosley coming in, he's going to have a big year. He's the number 1 wide receiver on this team. And then you have a freshman, a redshirt freshman, who comes from great heritage in Antonio Gates Jr. I expect him to do something. I expect him to be a part of this. We talk about the running game last year, about how they couldn't get it going. A majority of that is on the offensive line. The offensive line could not create holes, could not get a push. So those running backs were seeing guys in the backfield 2 yards deep. And it was the same thing the year before that. Like, Kenneth Walker wasn't these gaping holes to walk through. The glory of Kenneth Walker was he was making guys miss in the backfield and then still getting yards. So Jalen Berger is going to have to do a lot. I'm going to need to see a lot out of him. On the defensive side of the ball, I have some key guys that I'm looking at, guys returning. Kyle Halladay, he's been a leader on that team. He's a linebacker. He's been playing well the past couple years. You need him to continue to do this. He needs to be a big part of that Spartan defense. Simeon Barrow, he needs to make up. We lost Slade, but that interior defensive line was probably the strength of Michigan State's defense last year, which isn't saying much, but that interior defensive line and the goal line defense was the best part of Michigan State's defense last year. So Simeon Barrow needs to step up. He's a big dude, 6'3", 290. You got Derek Harmon, 6'5", 320. 2 big dudes in there that need to step up. Another guy, Charles Brantley. He's going in as cornerback 1. He was our best cornerback last year, which also is not saying much when you have a pass defense that's ranked in the 200s. So Charles Brantley needs to step up. And another guy, they got a transfer from Wisconsin, a cornerback, a senior, Samar Melvin. Those guys all need to step up. But is it bad for me to say that the fate of this defense mainly resides on the shoulders of one player?
Who is that player?
That player is Jacoby Whitman.
Well, then no, it makes sense.
Jacoby Whitman is the best player on this team. Defensive or offensive. It was Keon Coleman I don't want to bring that up. I don't want to talk about my ex. All right, she's having a good time in Florida now. I'll leave her there. Jacoby Whitman is the best player on this team. He needs to be the best player on this team. We saw what he can do, creating disruption, getting sacks, forcing fumbles, making plays. He needs to do that all year. He needs to be that guy all year, and I expect that out of him.
Well, okay, so you have them going 7 or 8 wins. I think you said 8.
8.
Oh, if they accomplish that, if Michigan State accomplishes that, I would even agree that that's a successful season. At that point...
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad the Lord Michigan fan Flannel condones my...
Expectation. Okay. All right. Fine. You know what? I know you don't care about what I think, but still, I think that is a successful season. And I think at that point, the questions about Mel Tucker being on the hot seat, he's at least earned himself more grace. Maybe another year or two. Maybe he's going to build something. But here's how I see it. And I understand everything that you said. And with everything that you said, they do have, I think, a ceiling of maybe 7 or 8. Okay. But what if it all bottoms out? What if at this point, to me, if I'm a Michigan State fan, and this is me speaking as a Michigan fan, I wouldn't say pass fail, but if Michigan State makes a bowl game, Mel Tucker gets another year. If they're 4-8 or 5-7 again, he should be fired on the field at the last game. At Ford Field, gone.
But it takes 7 years. You get 7 years. There's a leash. That's what pisses me off too. It takes 7 years to win the Big Ten for Harbaugh. That's okay. That's fine. But Mel Tucker has one bad season.
No, we'd be talking 2. We would be talking 2 at that point.
But he's immediately gone after that?
Okay, so here's the difference, and this is the thing where I think it's a false equivalency. We talk about 2015 to 2020, even in my opinion, as a failure for Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. But in 2015, they had a 10-win season. 2016, 10-win season. 2018, 10-win season. 2019, 9-win season. 3 out of those 4 years kicking your team's ass.
How many bowl games did they win?
They won 1. But still, obviously, Michigan. But still, Michigan has a bad record in bowl games. But 2 of them are the college football playoff. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't even count those as bowl games.
Sure. Michigan, it wasn't a complete disaster under Harbaugh from the beginning. His only terrible year was the COVID year. You could argue 2017, but his quarterback was John O'Korn for the majority of it.
But he's a quarterback guru. He's a quarterback whisperer.
Right.
He should make things happen.
You know what?
Shea Patterson, John O'Korn. Jake Rudock.
All right. We'll call 2017 a failure too. And don't besmirch Jake Rudock and Shea Patterson and put them in the same.
Shea Patterson sucked.
No. He looked pretty good against Michigan State. I'll tell you that.
Shea Patterson sucked.
Are you putting him in the same category as John O'Korn?
Yes, I would.
You're insane.
He is another failure quarterback from Harbaugh.
He wasn't a failure.
He sucked. He got booted out of the USFL.
Okay, but he's not, as an NFL prospect, sure, he wasn't going to do anything. But at Michigan, I think he was a little bit disrespected, even by our own fan base. I'll tell you what, and a lot of Michigan fans are going to
take Peyton Thorne over Shea Patterson.
Peyton Thorne did have 27 touchdown passes in a season, which no Michigan quarterback has ever done that. But anywho, and this is where I might actually alienate a couple of my Michigan fans. I know my fellow Michigan fans, and this is where I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent. I think that Shea Patterson was a better Michigan quarterback than Cade McNamara.
I mean, which shit smells better? That's what you're asking me right now. Cade McNamara, that's another. We'll get into this later. We got a whole season. I did not like Cade McNamara. What if Cade McNamara goes out and balls for Iowa this year?
No chance.
Just completely balls in that Iowa offense. What if Eric All has a better season than Colston Loveland?
What if Eric All actually puts up Sam Laporta type numbers?
You know those Iowa tight ends.
They do. And it wouldn't shock me at all if Cade McNamara actually has a decent year for Iowa. I think he's better than Spencer Petras. Again,
I would agree with that.
A bar as low as like a millimeter off the ground.
Much.
Because Spencer Petras is one of the worst college quarterbacks I've ever seen. But I guess the point is that when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and his start, yes, it was disappointing. Yes, they couldn't beat Ohio State. But we're talking about Mel Tucker. And I know we're going to count the COVID year because I know you count Michigan State's victory over Michigan. That would be 3 out of his first 4 seasons if they're 5-7.
If you count the COVID
losing
year,
years.
you have to count what goes into it.
Sure.
Him getting the job 2 months before the season starts. D'Antonio leaving him with a empty bare cupboard. Nothing happening there. That I don't even count that year against Mel Tucker.
That's fair.
Because he didn't recruit. He couldn't recruit. He was brought in literally 2 months before the season starts. You have no time to recruit. You don't have time to put things in place. You're still scrambling to make things happen. And what did he do? He beat Michigan. So, I'm just saying. But Michigan State expectations, like I said, I expect 8 wins. 7 is the floor. 9 is a possibility.
Okay.
For what they need to do, obviously the pass defense has to be a hell of a lot better because that was abysmal last year. It was nothing last year. And it starts with the defensive line getting pressure on the opposing quarterback. That starts with the interior guys. I already talked about them, Simeon Barrow and Derek Harmon, and of course Jacoby Windman, who is our best player. He can help out those guys on the outside by attacking the quarterback, by rushing the quarterback, by making the quarterback nervous. And then the offense needs to completely change from last year. The offense was a
I'd say so.
joke last year. It is not 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We can't do that. We cannot do that. Our offensive line is not good enough to do the Michigan game plan. We don't have a Michigan offensive line where they can just push guys around, have holes as big as the parting of the Red Sea, and let this little short midget run through all of them. Like, we can't do that. We need to get creative. We need to attack on the outside with our weapons. And I'm not saying the weapons are better than last year, because they're definitely not, but we need to utilize them more.
No, and that's fair, and I agree with everything you said. If Michigan State is going to be successful, we shall see. 8 or 9 wins, though, in my opinion, would be a success for Michigan State, to be fair. Coming up next, we're going to get into Michigan's expectation. You know, a team that actually has high expectations. When we come back, this is
If you
Woodward.
ask some of your fan base, they do.
Hey, we'll see. Well, you know what? We'll talk about it. This is Woodward Rivals.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com. Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, 2 of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
And welcome back to Woodward Rivals with myself, Flannel Sam, and Spencer Raxter. Yes, the MSU alum. I myself am the Walmart Wolverine. I resent that term, by the way. But you know what? It is all well and good because a lot of us are Walmart Wolverines. And you can be a fan of whatever damn school you want to be a fan of. And because there is no crime against it. But anywho, let's get to Michigan's expectations. A team that, to be fair, has much higher expectations when it comes to football than Michigan State. Which is why I'm really glad we're debuting the show prior to 2023. I think I got myself a little bit. I'll acknowledge that. I'll acknowledge that freely because
Just wait until we take Paul back this year.
Not gonna happen.
We'll see.
I will sob on the show if that happens. But you know what? We're not gonna have to worry about that because it's gonna be a double-digit victory. But speaking of Michigan, I've got some expectations when it comes to my football team. And this year, Michigan, it has to be national championship or bust. And here's why. You look at Michigan and their last couple of years. They're the only they're the only team besides Georgia who has been to the college football playoff in back-to-back seasons. Unfortunately, Georgia has won 2 national championships and Michigan has lost in the first round both times, but still, you can't just keep getting there and flaming out. And I personally think this iteration of the team is the best Michigan team that Jim Harbaugh's ever had. Even better than last year, even better than the year before.
Let's speak to that real fast.
Okay.
What makes them better than last year? What makes them better than the year before? Because I heard that from Michigan fans last year. Oh, this defense is better than last year's defense, even though we lost Aiden Hutchinson, David Ajabo, and Dax Hill. Like, we still got a better defense. What makes them, at a talent standpoint, better than the team of last year?
Well, first off, it's not all about talent. That 2022 Michigan defense was very, very good. They actually had an undefeated regular season, when in 2021 they did not. And even that TCU game, the defense, they were tired by the end. They gave up a lot of big plays to TCU, but they were also put in a hole by J.J. McCarthy's 2 pick sixes. And I love J.J. McCarthy, but still.
And those empty red zone trips.
Absolutely. But without those plays, I think Michigan wins, and I don't even think they give up 30 points to TCU that day. But anywho, we can't talk about ifs. We can't live in the past. What makes this team better, I think, is how much they have returning. I believe that they have the most returning talent when it comes to known commodities of any team in the entire nation. I know Georgia always reloads. I know Alabama always reloads, but a lot of these players we haven't seen on the field yet. When it comes to Michigan, they're the only top team returning a quarterback. They're the only team that made last year's college football playoff that are returning their quarterback. And Alabama didn't make the college football playoff, and they have high expectations, and they're also not returning their quarterback. Michigan is returning J.J. McCarthy. Michigan is also returning the best backfield in the country by far.
Yes.
2 of the 5, I think, best running backs in the country, in Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum.
Which Donovan Edwards should lead that backfield.
Okay.
Donovan Edwards is a better player. He should be the guy. He should be the bell cow.
Okay.
I like Donovan Edwards. Shout out West Bloomfield, Michigan guy. I like Donovan Edwards. I think he should be their guy.
Okay, fine, but Blake Corum is not some scrub. Blake Corum is a damn good college player. I think when you have that embarrassment of riches, they're both going to get utilized in their own different ways. I think Donovan Edwards more in the pass game. It wouldn't shock me, though, if Blake Corum got more carries, but we shall see. And we talk about that.
You guys don't throw the ball at all, so why would you don't have to worry about Donovan Edwards receiving.
I mean, we'll see. We shall see. Michigan will throw the ball when they have to. They proved it at Ohio State and even against TCU when they were down. Although
threw the ball to the other team a lot of TCU.
Well, they put themselves in a hole, but then they had to bring themselves back. And I thought JJ performed admirably.
Oh, baby.
You know what? But anywho, how about that offensive line for Michigan, though? They are returning two All Big Ten players from their Joe Moore winning offensive line a year ago, Trevor Keegan and Zach Zinter. They are bringing back Colston Loveland, who I think is going to end up being the best tight end. I think he's better than Luke Schoonmaker, more talented.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That's fair. He had that big touchdown catch at Ohio State and that big touchdown
way more
catch.
Athletic, that's for sure.
Colston Loveland is very athletic. You saw him moss those two guys against Purdue. Yeah, absolutely.
He's a great player. And we talked about it earlier that you think he could be the best tight end in Michigan history.
Absolutely.
Which is, you look at guys, Devin Funchess played tight end a little bit. Jake Butt had a very good career. Luke Schoonmaker was very good tight end. Eric All had a good year. It's not saying much at the same time because it's not like Iowa. It's not tight end U for Michigan, but I like Colston Loveland too. I think he's a very good player.
I would say Jake Butt is actually a pretty good comparison, like healthy Jake Butt, because he was going to be probably a first or second round draft pick if it wasn't for the knee injuries. And you talk about all the other players on the Michigan defense, which I think will be about as good this year as they've been the last couple of years. You got Chris.
Because it's baked in with the schedule, man.
Oh, so it's all about the schedule.
Yeah, when you don't play anybody for 8 weeks in the year, this defense, you cannot look at me with a straight face and tell me this defense is just as talented as the defense of 2022. You can't.
That's terrible.
Okay, but all right, let's break it down then. Will Johnson as the corner, he is going to be a top 10 pick when he comes out. He is going to be a candidate for the Jim Thorpe Award both this year and last year. If he would have came out as a goddamn freshman, he would have been a first-round draft pick, but obviously you can't do that in college football. You look at that linebacking core of Junior Colson, NFL player, Ernest Hausman, one of the best transfers, the fourth-ranked transfer coming into 2023, and then Michael Barrett. Are those the 2000 Ravens out there? Except Michigan style, except like into college football.
Yes or no? Yes or no? No mansplaining, no flannel splaining, no nut hugging. Is this defense on paper more talented than 2022?
Yes.
No. How?
Wait a minute.
Who is better than Aiden Hutchinson?
Wait. U.S. 2022
or 2021? Sorry.
Okay, 2021 on paper. You had 2 first-round draft picks and one that would have been if not for an Achilles. Probably not.
Yes.
Because Aiden Hutchinson is
definitely not.
Well, yeah, because Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best overall players in Michigan football history.
Who on this defense is better than Mike Morris?
I would say overall player.
Yeah.
I would say Will Johnson.
Will Johnson was on the defense last year too.
Okay, you got Junior Colson. I would say Chris Jenkins. I would say Mason Graham has a chance, although he's not really a known commodity, but he had a damn good year last year. Maybe Braden McGregor. I mean, we shall see. Mike Morris, he was very, very good. I give him a lot of credit. He emerged as kind of the one star on the defensive line last year, but still, I think this year's defense is better in terms of overall talent. I'd even mention Rod Moore and Mike Sainristil still in that secondary that I think is going to be even better than that no-fly zone of the Michigan State.
God,
how did Darqueze Dennard and Trey Waynes fare in the NFL for the record?
Darqueze Dennard had a pretty good NFL career. Trey Waynes played for the Vikings for a couple years. You think Mike Sanderson is going to have a better NFL career than those guys?
Probably not. But Will Johnson.
Will Johnson probably will. I'll give you that. He's better. They're not going to be better than the no-fly. That no-fly zone defense was the best defense the Big Ten has seen in 20 years. It was insane.
Well, I mean, 2013 was one of the best Big Ten teams I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And that's fair. And that is 100% fair. I'm just saying that with my point of my mansplaining, as you say it, or flannel-splaining, is that Michigan, when it comes to this, you may doubt that their roster is as talented as some of the past teams. But with what they have coming back, even if on paper when the season starts they're not as good as Alabama and Georgia, Michigan has no excuses this year. It has to be national championship championship or it is a massive failure because they just have so much coming back, so much coming through in the transfer portal, and their schedule plays out favorably as well. There's no reason why they should lose one game this whole year. And if they do, I will come back here and answer, and I will probably be very dejected and cry. So just so we're clear before we move on, your expectation is 8 wins for Michigan State, 8 or 9?
8 wins. I could see them getting 9.
So anything short of 8 you would say is a failure?
Anything short of 7, I would say is
okay,
a failure.
that's fair. And for me, it is national championship or bust, and that just kind of speaks to the state of the programs
and
right
Philip
now.
C., we are live. Yeah, you didn't expect that one, huh, buddy? Right here. Right here, brother. We're live, baby. It's early. I slept like 4 hours last night. We're live.
I forgot who it was in the Woodward Sports chat. I apologize. Said, like, when do you guys ever sleep? Not much. I will just say that.
Don't really sleep that much.
I will just say that right now. It's gonna be a fire drill this football season, but that's okay because we are dogs in this. We are dogs.
So dogs around this mug.
To quote the great Lucas Klotz. All right, but anywho, when we come back, we're gonna talk about the betting lines for Michigan and Michigan State in their opening games. The spread is a little bit higher for Michigan, but still, we're gonna talk about it, whether you should bet the over or under, or just in the case of Michigan State, are they on upset alert? But we'll talk about it more.
Oh my God, Flannel, you motherfucker.
Next on Woodward Rivals.
Are you a diehard college football fan? Well, it's your lucky day. Join special WSN guests like Spencer Raxter, Flannel Sam, and more every Saturday. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Saturdays and tune in live from 8:30 to 10 a.m. Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Back at it, to quote Neil Rule, this is Woodward Rivals.
We are squad deep on a Thursday.
Squad deep on a Thursday. I am Flannel Sam. We got Spencer Raxter here with me, Michigan State alum. I am, of course, the Walmart Wolverine.
You're damn right.
All right, and since we're going into week 1 of the season, I know that it's week 1. Michigan should steamroll ECU
They will.
and Michigan
Even without
State.
Jim Harbaugh.
Sure.
Because he was suspended for illegally recruiting people and then lying to the NCAA about it. Not a cheeseburger, as Michigan fans like to say. Oh, he bought a cheeseburger, so he got suspended. No, he illegally recruited during a dead period and then lied to the NCAA about it. It wasn't just a cheeseburger. Okay. So.
You're fired.
And you know what? That is a perfect segue into the topic, because I'll start with Michigan because you brought it up with Jim Harbaugh and the cheeseburger. To me, and this goes into week 1 because Jim Harbaugh is not going to be there. I don't care. I'm not going to be that person that's going to like defend Jim Harbaugh's honor and be like, it was just a cheeseburger, because I don't care.
I wouldn't care either.
I don't care at all because Jim Harbaugh is suspended for the first 3 games. You got Eastern Carolina, you got UNLV. They are not going to lose any of those games.
I would give my favorite nut to win a national championship. I don't care if my coach gets suspended for 10 years, but they win a national championship. Don't care. Good job. Do it again. College football is one of the slimiest, dirtiest governing bases of a sport. Like, it's up there with like FIFA and the Olympics. How grimy you have to get good guys. And Michigan is swimming in those waters now, so Jim Harbaugh should be doing this. If I was a Michigan fan, I wouldn't care, but I just want them to realize it's not just a cheeseburger.
Sure.
It was more than that.
And you know what? I am more than fine to admit that, because as I said before, I don't care. If it affects Michigan's season this year, then absolutely I would care. And I would probably look into it a little bit more, but I don't even quite understand what happened, because I just don't care. I hear 3 games, I hear 3 wins, and even if they lose one of those games, it's one of the biggest failures in the history of Michigan football, and they won't lose those games, and hopefully after the first 3 it is all over and done with.
Toledo.
Because Michigan is favored by 36. Their point spread is minus 36 in the Eastern Carolina game. And I think they got to go with the over in this one, even without Jim Harbaugh. I think a team like Eastern Carolina, with all that you have coming back, you just have to impose your will right
Oh,
away.
they will. They don't have to throw the ball once and they'll win by 40.
They won't. They don't. I would like them to at some point just to kind of get a little bit of practice with it. But this is the game where I want to see some of the incoming 4-star recruit freshmen play. I want to see guys like C.J. Stokes. I want to see backup offensive linemen like Giovanni El Hadi, somebody like that. I want to see some of the right.
What about Orgy?
You know what?
What's his first name?
Alex Orgy.
Alex Orgy.
I want to see
a unit.
You know, I want to see a couple, maybe 1 or 2 orgies in the end zone, to quote Robert Griffin III. Hey, that did happen.
It did happen.
And it was actually a great call.
That was a great call.
So,
I like RG3. He's good on the
as
broadcast.
an analyst, not so good as an NFL player, but as an analyst, he's...
Come on, man. His leg got torn apart.
Talk about a one-year wonder there. But you know what? We could go off on a tangent all day about RG3's NFL career, but this is Woodward rivals.
Yes.
So to me, I think I would smash the over in that one, and I would say bet whatever over there has to be when it comes to rushing yards, because I think Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, I think they'll each pop one for 50 or 60.
They should only play the first half.
Agreed.
They should both only play the first half. This is going to be an easy win for Michigan. It's a cupcake. It's the first week of the year. Basically, every team has a cupcake.
Sure.
It's going to be a smash mouth, easy win for Michigan. They're going to win by 40, and they don't got to throw the ball. Now, for Michigan State, you said it to trigger me going into break. They might be on upset alert. They are not on upset alert versus Central. Bet Michigan State with the points. They're going to win by at least 3 touchdowns. They will cover the spread. Don't worry. Off talent alone.
Shut up and take my money.
The talent gap between Michigan State's roster and Central Michigan's roster, Michigan State wins by 14 at the very least. This is not upset alert. Michigan State's going to go out there. They're going to win by at least 3 touchdowns.
Straight cash, homie.
Well, here's the thing. Michigan State, and I know point spreads aren't everything, but minus 14, to me, that's like a definition of a trap game. And for the record, I don't think that Michigan State is going to lose either. But would it shock me if Central kind of gives you a couple nervous moments in the first half?
There is always a trap game. I think like a Big Ten team has lost to a MAC team like 5 years in a row or something like that.
Sure.
So it happens. At least this isn't, I don't know, we're not going there. At least we're not going on the road and playing somebody in their own house, which would be bad. But I think Justin Rose, I just saw Justin Rose said something. He said, at least it's not Eastern. Because Eastern's actually got a damn good program going right now.
Sure.
But Central, Michigan State's going to cover the spread against Central. Do not worry. I want to see a slaughter.
Okay.
That's what I want. I want to see us grab the Chippewas by the neck and slit their throats in front of their children. Like, we need to demolish this team to set pace for the season. We need to go out there. We need to put up 40 plus on them.
40 plus.
Oh, hell yeah!
Are they capable of putting 40 plus up in any game?
If Jay Johnson, I swear to God, you're going to hear this all year. You're going to hear this all year. Unless something changes. Jay Johnson has the hottest coaching seat in Michigan sports right now.
Yeah.
Out of any coach in every sport in Michigan, Jay Johnson has the hottest seat. Because his offense was the problem last year. The defense was bad, but they weren't getting helped out by all the 3 and outs because they ran the ball 3 times in a row. So Jay Johnson, if he doesn't change what happened last year, he's going to get fired, and he should be fired.
No, she probably should have been
He should
gone.
have been fired, yes.
I would agree with that 100%.
He should have been fired last year.
But before we go to break, I know that you're a Michigan State fan, and you're never going to pick for Michigan State to not cover the spread. Let me just ask you. Well, when it comes to Central Michigan game at the beginning of the year, let me just ask you this question. I want you to answer honestly.
Mike K, shout out. He asked me what my profession was.
Hey, absolutely.
Dope moment. Gerard Butler at Spartan Stadium. Spartans, what is your profession? Oh. That was fucking goosebumps.
You know what? That was a very fine moment for a very, very fine school, for a very fine state school that Michigan's going to beat this year. But you know what? Let me just ask you.
These little shots, these little flannel shots. I don't like them.
Pew, shoo, shots, explosives. All right, so let me just ask you this. just really, really quick, is it fair for Michigan State to only be a -14, given the fact that, to be fair, Michigan State was a 5-7 team last year that lost Jaden Reed and Keon Coleman? There's a lot of unknown. I know you probably know more about Michigan State than the average college football fan. Is it fair for there to be some skepticism that they could even have a close win against Central or even lose?
For the national perception of it, yes.
Okay.
I can see why it is this.
Yeah!
I can see why they're at 5.5, why it is a 14-point spread. It is because, like you said, they lost Jaden Reed. They lost their best player in Keon Coleman. They lost their starting quarterback in Peyton Thorne, who I think either Noah Kim and Caden Hauser can be better than Peyton Thorne, because Peyton Thorne had a good year, but last year was, it was hit and miss with Peyton Thorne last year. So I don't think a lot of people know about what they have, really. Like, Trey Mosley is ready to be a -- 1 guy. Jalen Berger is a very good running back. It's just his offensive line didn't do him anything.
He's got to show us.
Malik Carr, very athletic, good tight end. And Antonio Gates Jr., I think, is going to make a lot of different things happen, as well as bringing in Alante Brown. I think this offense is going to be better than people expect. And I think Noah Kim can make some things happen with his legs. He's not going to get into as many stupid throws down the field that Peyton Thorne caused some turnovers, stuff like that. I like Caden Hauser more, per se. I like the prospect of Caden Hauser more. I think he's a better player going forward. But Noah Kim has been here before. He's been in the system, so he's going to get the start.
And that's all well and good. I just want to ask the question whether or not it was fair. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the perceived toxicity when it comes to the Michigan State
of our rivalry.
Hey, and as long as you're quoting songs as Britney Spears would say, it's toxic, or at least people should say. But we'll talk about that.
Dude, I did System of a Down, and you're gonna follow it up with Britney Spears.
You stole mine. I was gonna say it's System of a Down too, but you just got a chance to go first. But anyway, we're gonna talk about it a little bit more, and our perception on it might not be what you guys think. We might actually break a little bread. You shall see. We will be right back. This is Woodward Rivals.
Come hang with the Woodward Sports Crew all throughout football season on Saturdays and Sundays. Join our college football and Detroit Lions live watch parties.
Inside the 5, caught, end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions!
With money on the line. Featuring different special guests and surprises. Start times will vary depending on the game. Only on our Woodward Sports YouTube channel. Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Welcome back to Woodward Rivals. You should have heard the conversation that was going on before. I'm not going to talk to you guys about that. We're back at Woodward Rivals. I am Flannel Sam. We've got Spenmo Rax, Michigan State alum. I'm Walmart Wolverine Flannel Sam.
Right.
I resent that, but that's okay. I think I will get my revenge come football season. But speaking of football season, we're not. You know what? Football show. Helmets. Paul Bunyan.
Oh, we're running this back basketball season for sure.
You would like that, wouldn't you?
I would love that.
But you know what? That's all right, because when Michigan is celebrating a natty, I won't care so much. But you know what? Let's talk about the Michigan State rivalry, because there's a lot of talk, I would say, about the toxicity of it. That it's the most toxic it's ever been. Some people have even brought up the fact that maybe the game should be canceled.
Oh my God.
I know, especially after like the Tuttle fight last year and everything. We've even got very, very prominent national media or local media people. Mike Valeni. All right, we'll talk about Mike Valeni. Go ahead.
He was fear-mongering.
Go ahead.
It was I respect Mike Valeni. He's very good at his job. Very, very good at his job. And he is a Spartan alum, so, shout out, brother. But when he said what he said about maybe Michigan fans should just sit this one out, Mike, you haven't been to campus in 20 years, bro. Stop. You're not tied in with the culture like that. You're not going to get jumped on campus just for being a Michigan fan walking around. It doesn't happen. East Lansing is my second home. I love East Lansing. I was up there for a while, trust me. I had a lot of friends who came up and visited me for Michigan games, for parties, for Halloween, for St. Patrick's Day, all these different things. They're walking around with Michigan gear on. They're talking shit. They're partying with Michigan State fans. You're not just going to get jumped because you're a Michigan fan. Now, If you're a drunk asshole who walks up to a bunch of drunk assholes and starts name calling and calling them pussies and things like that, yeah, you might get your ass beat. But that's on you. If you go somewhere looking for a fight, no matter where it is, odds are you're going to find a fight. That's flat out. You're not just going to get jumped in the streets because you're wearing blue and yellow. It's not going to happen. Will there be fights that weekend? Yes. Will it be between Michigan and Michigan State fans? Yes. Will there be fights between Michigan State fans and Michigan State fans? Yes. It's what happens. Like I said, if you go somewhere looking for a fight, you're going to find a fight. You're not just going to get attacked in the streets because you're a Michigan fan. That's so whack. That's such a stupid concept.
You know, that was very, very well said, Spenny. And as somebody who recently was at the school and has been to a lot of games even the past couple of years, I really appreciate your perspective because I actually agree with you on this one. For me, last year when it comes to the Michigan State game, I know we talk about the tunnel fight and everything, but I just want to focus on the fact that Michigan won the game.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. And that Michigan not only won the game, they needed to win that game, and they needed to take it as seriously as they did because as much as I've talked about Mel Tucker's tenure at Michigan State as at least if they have another disappointing this season of failure, so far he's 2-1 against Michigan.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of us fans were very, very excited when they won, but when we saw the tunnel fight, a lot of Michigan fans, I think some of them unfairly assassinated the character of some of the Michigan State players.
Yeah.
The only one who I really gave a lot of crap to was whoever swung the helmet.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to mention his name anymore.
It was an unacceptable
Sure,
act.
sure.
That cannot happen.
Sure.
That cannot happen. You go, you leave, you lost, get out of there. Just don't do it. That should have not have happened. But the stuff Mike Valeni is saying about that is just, it's fear-mongering is what it is.
Sure.
Like I said, man, you're not just going to get jumped. It's not any more toxic than it has been in the past 10 years. It's just everything's prominent and on social media now. And as a lot of Michigan fans know, people create burners and talk shit.
Ooh.
Michigan fans love to create burners and talk shit. So I'm just saying, when you hide behind the glass wall of a computer screen, it's a lot easier to do things like that and be nasty and all that shit. But where was it in the Woodward Sports chat? I forget who said it. Jay Thomas. He said a lot of us know each other. He acting like we gangbanging. It's true. It's not like, oh, you repping blue over here, cuz it's green side, fam. What you doing? No, it's not like that, man. It's a rivalry. It gets heated, yes, but you're not just gonna get attacked. I've been there for wins in this series. I've been there for losses in this series. I've taking it when Michigan fans are like, hey bro, like we whooped your ass, yeah, you guys suck. I'm like, yeah, you guys won, yeah, we suck. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't do anything. They settled it on the field. You're not just gonna get attacked. But if you act like an asshole, you're gonna get treated like an asshole.
Well, and that's in all walks of life.
Yes.
And when it comes to heated rivalry, which Michigan and Michigan State is right now, if you kind of go overboard in your shit talk, there's a chance that there's going to be fights.
Yes.
But if you're respectful, if you know how they say, to the victor go the spoils. Right now, Michigan's football program is in a lot better shape than Michigan State's. Michigan beat them last year by 22, and I think Michigan should beat Michigan State this year again, even though it's at East Lansing at night, by double digits. And if all of that happens, we should just be happy as Michigan fans that we won. We should be happy that Michigan's football program is in the shape that it is. But back in the early days of D'Antonio, Michigan State had the right to talk crap back then. And I think we as fans understand that whoever is doing better has the right to talk. Like when it comes to basketball season,
Yep.
I'm going to kind of,
I can't wait.
I'm going to, do one of these.
Can't
just
wait.
kind of.
Tom Izzo's getting his second natty this year. You can believe it.
I don't know about that, but we'll get more into that later. I just think as the season goes along, we should all just enjoy the rivalry, enjoy the game. Don't like overblow this for more than what it is, because it's not more toxic than it's ever been, at least to me. I've never been to a Michigan game or to East Lansing and felt in any sort of way or anything like that. It's just, it is what it is. It's a rivalry between two schools, and it's gonna be a great rivalry for many, many years to come, as it already has been. I'm just here to, and I know who said it, Peaceful Tim. He's talking about me. You're not supposed to agree, Sam. What a stooge. He says Sam with all caps. Well, when it comes to
Sam.
Yeah, Sam. When it comes to the Michigan State rivalry and the toxicity of it, I actually do agree with Spenny on this one, because I'm not just going to say stuff to make a show and to make an explosive argument out of nowhere.
We're not Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless up here.
Because
Why you always lying?
Thank you for that, and I'm not lying. When it comes to this, though, it's about what it goes on the field. All I wanted to talk about last year was the damn win. It had all got out of control because of the tunnel fight. And for the record, as a Michigan fan, all is forgiven. Let's just play football and whoop their ass this year. Go to Michigan State and whoop their ass, and we can talk all the smack that we want. That's all I care about. It's all about on the field, and I've been very consistent in that.
Paul's coming back. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Paul's coming back home.
Michigan will be double-digit favorites, no doubt about it.
That's for sure. But that'll do it for us today. They got to get ready for the Woodward Morning Show with Jeff Ifrady and Sam Flannel and Lucas. Make sure you guys tune into that. I appreciate Lucas Klotz and Parker Brown coming in here, making these things happen. He is the Walmart Wolverine, Sam Flannel. I am the Spartan alumni, Spencer Raxter. This is Woodward Rivals inaugural episode. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.